Inside Lacrosse here in Dome Sweet Dome, Syracuse, New York, the famous Carrier Dome for Syracuse versus Albany, a great Thursday night matchup. This one kind of broke early for the Orange, really dominant face-off performance. They walk away with the big 17-12 win. Face-off's dominant story here, offensive production from the Orange. Jesse Doherty, I'm Zach Babbo. Jesse, what did you take in from this game today?
Yeah, I mean, you said it, just the face-offs were just a big difference. Ben Williams, Syracuse's Fogo, wins 24-27, and overall the Orange win 28-33. And in that kind of game, you just, if you're Albany, you're handcuffed. I mean, the offense didn't have the ball that often. The defense played, a lot of minutes, and when it came down to it, Syracuse was able to edge them. I mean, I think around the third, fourth quarter, right in the middle there, you kind of saw Syracuse slowly picking away, and Williams didn't lose a face-off in the first or third. So, when it came down to it, it was just Williams winning and Syracuse scoring, and that was kind of just the easy, explanation for the game.
Yeah, I mean, Williams goes 28 wins to 5 losses on the night for the Orange, pretty much. And, it shows a lot. Something to take from Albany here is that they still hung in this game. Lyle Thompson gets his 7 points despite a lot of defensive attention. You wonder how this game maybe broke if the faceoffs were a little different. Yeah. What do you take from Albany in this one?
Yeah, Coach Marr said it perfectly after the game. He said, if we make the possessions 50-50, we probably get ours, and it's only a 5-goal difference given the disparity in possessions that was there. And Lyle Thompson gets 7 points, was very dominant. There wasn't a Syracuse player on the field that really could check him, and then the other guys, Oaks and Fields had their games as well. And Lyle said after the game, they're still getting familiar with each other, and I think Coach Marr said he was happy with that because a 5-goal deficit when you only have 5 possessions off the faceoffs in the whole game is something to be proud of when it comes down to it.
Syracuse bounces back from the first loss of the season against Notre Dame. Big win here. A lot of offensive production up and down the field. I guess just going forward now, I mean, how tough does the Syracuse look back on their edge here?
Yeah, it was interesting because, without Randy Stotts, for the third straight game now, and Albany did a good job of holding Kevin Donahue and Kevin's dad, Dylan Donahue, and Kevin Rice, in check for the most part. Rice did finish with 7 points, but as far as goal scoring, he wasn't as effective as he may usually be. But then it was the midfielders. It's just the next guy for Syracuse. You take away 2, and then 3 more come, and take away 4, and then 3 more come after that. And that's what it was tonight. Nicky Galasso and Henry Schoonmaker combined for 9 goals, and that was really what ultimately put Albany away, was the secondary guys producing, at that high level, even when they shut down maybe the primary guys.
Both teams go back to league play here. Albany takes on Vermont this weekend. Syracuse gets some time off for a big game against UNC in about a week.
Hi, this is Caroline Garney with Inside Lacrosse here from the University of Virginia, following a 10-6 win in North Carolina over Virginia Cavaliers. The win puts Carolina at 2-0 in the ACC now, in the driver's seat heading into the ACC tournament. There's only 4 spots for 5 teams. Virginia drops to 0-3 in the ACC. Carolina was led by Sankey on attack with 4 goals. Bitter contributed 2, and in goal, Kieran Burke had 12 saves. Nice outing from him. Ryan Kilpatrick shut down Ryan Tucker. The defensive performance from Carolina was fantastic today, limiting UVa to just 6 goals. 3 of which were from Caholen, who had yet another good performance. But the big story for UVA was Matt Barrett in goal, and the face-offs were much stronger, but just unable to convert on the attack end. From here, we big see now if Virginia can make the ACC tournament. It comes down to the game with Duke coming up at Durham.
Welcome to the IL Newsroom. We were just live in the Carrier Dome where we saw Lyle Thompson put up a good performance and a loss against Syracuse, and now we are officially on record watch. He is just 7 points shy of Rob Pennell's 354-point all-time points record. 7 points against Syracuse the other day. He had 8 points against Vermont today. 7 points left against Binghamton. As we know, Lyle Thompson, that's really nothing for him. So check back next week to see how that goes, and we'll keep you updated on the rest. But Lyle Thompson's weekend, his day today, not the only big individual performance.
Yeah, Wes Berg really kind of shows up big time for Denver here. They had a very convincing win against Big East rival Nova. Berg puts up 10 points in just the first half. There's a conference that at least looks like we're kind of realizing maybe the dominant power there. Denver has come out with convincing wins over Georgetown and Villanova, arguably their 2 biggest, challengers in that league. Obviously, still have a game against Marquette left, but the Pioneers are looking very tough, both nationally and within the Big East right now. But Big East is about one of the only leagues that seems to be making sense right now. The rest is a real mess. The Ivy League had a real messy Saturday today. Just things we maybe thought would help solidify that are not quite breaking that way.
Yeah, we've talked in this space a lot about the Patriot League and how crazy it's been, but today was the Ivy League's turn to really be the one that changes, direction just at the drop of a hat. Today we had Harvard beat Cornell 10-9. Cornell seemed to really be the team that was pulling away, along with Brown here. Interesting thing about Harvard, they're a team that had a lot of expectations, maybe underperformed a little earlier in the season. They have 15 points from long poles. They had a few today. That's really something that added offense that they're getting. Sean McDonough is really emerging as a playmaker. This is a Harvard team that, on paper, this game looks like it could have gone either way. Cornell, dominated some of the stats. They dominated the faceoffs. But Harvard is finding ways to win. And, they're not the only team that's finding a way to win. We saw today Penn beat Brown 14-10. Brown was a team that has kind of been running away literally with this Ivy League.
Yeah, I thought Brown was going to kind of, maybe assert themselves in this game and establish themselves as that real contender for the top spot in the league. And Penn, the Harvard-Cornell game was exciting to the end. Penn kind of got a handle on this one fairly early and stayed strong and walked away fairly comfortably at the end with a 4-goal win there. Nick Doctor leads the way for Penn, 2-4 on the day. Dylan Malloy tried to keep pace at 3-2, but the Quakers are kind of a funny team this year. We all knew they were talented. They had a good year last year. They just didn't seem to, they haven't seemed to really materialize that talent yet this year. But any team that's that talented, they always have a game like this in them. And unfortunately for Brown, they found that game today. Mm-hmm. And, Brown, we're realizing is probably a good team this year. A team we can't seem to get a temperature of is Princeton. Not a league game, but they lose 13-10 to Stony Brook today. Matt, is this a question of Princeton kind of showing maybe they're not that strong or what? Because, you don't really know how to measure a Stony Brook loss.
I think it just shows that Stony Brook is really underrated and really a good team. Stony Brook getting this 13-10 win today, they have one of the best goal scorers in the country in Brody Eastwood. They have one of the best tandems in lacrosse with Eastwood and Mike Rooney. They have a lot of guys who can put the ball in the net, a lot of guys who can move the ball. This is really a talented team that, I think this win is going to be the one that puts them on the map. The big question for them is, they're in the America East. Can they get through Albany, win that conference tournament, and get to the NCAA tournament? Being in the America East, whatever they do, it's not really going to have much cachet outside the league. They're not a league that gets a lot of respect, probably deservedly so for some of the lack of depth in that league. Speaking of leagues that don't get respect, how about the NEC? It seems like the depth there is just a lot better than it's been in recent years.
Yeah, the one team that everybody talks about in that league is Bryant, and Mike Preston's got to be breathing a big sigh of relief up in Rhode Island right now. They walk out of Wagner 5-3 winners. That game was very tight until the very end. And, another kind of upset here of the NEC asserting itself. Mount St. Mary's grabs a 12-11 win over Bucknell. Bucknell's been a team that's given a lot of other teams fits, and so the Mount can really hang their hat on a really, really strong win there. NEC will be another one like the AE, probably just one team coming out of it, but it'll be interesting to see how that one plays out as the season goes on here.
Hi, I'm Dan Abram for Inside Lacrosse. I'm here at Byrd Stadium where Maryland defeated Penn State 12-5 to earn their 8th consecutive victory, as well as go 2-0 in conference play. Big difference in this game was the first quarter. Maryland's offense exploding for 8 goals in the first quarter. That's their biggest output in that quarter all year. But the big story of this game is Charlie Raffa. He left the game near the end of the first quarter. It looked like he may have hurt his shoulder or something like that. No definitive announcement from Coach Tillman or anything on his status. But as for Penn State, they're now riding a 4-game losing streak, and they've got a big test in Johns Hopkins next week. Speaking with Coach Tambroni after the game, he seemed dismayed by the result, but overall very satisfied with his team's effort today. As for Maryland, they've got a quick turnaround. They host Loyola on Wednesday. Loyola, big winners in the Patriot League today, 17-7 over Navy. So, back to you guys.
Another week, another big ACC matchup. Notre Dame defends their #1 ranking with a 15-10 victory over Duke.
The big thing about this, Notre Dame, 4 different players with hat tricks. You had Connor Doyle, Matt Cavanaugh, Nick Osella, and Mikey Wynn all scoring hat tricks in this game. It's incredible that you have 4 different guys who can put the ball in the net that many times. And that just goes to show what this Notre Dame team is. They have weapons all over offensively. Their defense has just been amazing. Today they held Miles Jones to 1-1. They were really able to keep him out of the middle of the field, keep him from doing that sweep that he loves to do with momentum to get the shot off. And really just a great dominant performance that almost felt more than the 5-goal margin that it was. Of note for this game, this is Duke's 3rd straight loss, and it also ended a 21-game home winning streak for the Blue Devils. So what do you have to say about Duke? What do you think of their defense? You know, Notre Dame getting all these points.
The struggle Duke, I think, has, Duke is a team of very good individuals that are good athletes and skilled players, but they're still lacking a bit of that mental edge. Defensively, the team does not coalesce well. They're not playing good team defense. And even at times offensively, you see guys kind of maybe do an individual thing to beat their matchup, but maybe the rest of the unit isn't quite working as well together. But really, the defense is what's burning them right now. And that's going to be tough because now, you know, Virginia is as talented of a shooting team as anybody in the league, and Duke, Virginia next weekend is effectively the play-in game for that last spot in the ACC tournament, and a chance to play for the AQ and guarantee yourself a spot in May.
Hey everybody, this is Jeff Shannon with Inside Lacrosse Magazine at the Ridley Athletic Field Complex. Today I was covering Loyola's 17-7 victory over Patriot League foe Navy. Loyola came out shooting in the first quarter, scoring 4 goals. They added 6 in the second, 5 in the third, and 2 in the fourth to put up the 17-7 score. This is a stark contrast from the game last week against Colgate, where they only put up 4 goals. In the press conference, Coach Charlie Toomey talked about how this week the team really focused on what they needed to do offensively. They created their own scouting reports against Navy, and that really went into their efforts this Saturday. Some numbers to look at in this contest: Loyola scooped 37 ground balls, beating Navy's 22 ground balls. Loyola went 2 for 3 on extra man. They went 14 to 17 on clears, and they forced 16 turnovers against Navy. A lot of that was in the difference. Some game highs this week: Zach Hairwires put up 6 points, including a career-high 3 assists. Dennis Rollmore had 4 points, including a career-high 2 assists. A couple good performances from them. Again, this is Jeff Shannon from Inside Lacrosse, signing off.